Hey, Lighthouse, let's keep reading in Luke 14. And while Jesus tells another parable, another story about a dinner party, and let's get a running start at it again. Let's start in verse 12. The parable will pick up in verse 16 or something. But again, I want you to watch how clueless this guy is who is talking to Jesus, and just how he has the opportunity to talk to Jesus, and yet he just does not get what's happening. Maybe he's one of these that, we talked last time about these guys that are angling for the right place of honor, and they're trying to sit closest to the host, and they're really at this dinner party to be seen. This is networking. They're trying to make a name for themselves, and they're using this opportunity instead of fellowship and going there so they can be a blessing to other people, that other people might feel loved. Instead, they're using it as a self-promotion. So Jesus has a moment with the man who invited him to the party. In verse 12, he said also to the man who had invited him, "When you give a dinner party or a banquet, do not invite your friends or your brothers or your relatives or your rich neighbors, lest they also invite you in return and be repaid." This is more about motive than anything else, but he's saying, look, don't throw a dinner party just so you can have the great party of the year, and don't do it just so they invite you. Hey, if I invite them, then they'll invite me and we'll just be the high society party. No, he says, don't do that. But when you give a feast, invite the poor, the cripple, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed because they cannot repay you. For you will be repaid at the resurrection of the just. Listen to that, the resurrection of the just. It's not just to throw parties to be a blessing only to those who can bless you back. Rather, the just way to live is to be a blessing to those who can't bless you back. And you will be blessed and you will be rewarded at the resurrection of the just. And so somebody is overhearing Jesus talking to this guy and says, when one of those who reclined at the table with him heard these things, he said to him, "Blessed is everyone who will eat bread in the kingdom of God." It's almost like this guy has heard Jesus and he just hasn't understood any of it. And he's going to chip in, and he thinks he knows. Oh, yes, Jesus. Yes, very, very smart thing to say, Jesus. And blessed is everyone who eats bread in the kingdom of God. But he said to him, he's going to set this guy straight. And he says, look, a man once gave a great banquet and invited many. And at the time for the banquet, he sent his servant to say to those who had been invited, "Come, for everything is now ready." But they all alike began to make excuses. But the first said to him, "I've bought a field." Now you're going to hear a list of things that in the parable are more important than going to this party. But really what you're hearing is a list of things that people prioritize over entrance into the kingdom of heaven. The invitation that Jesus gives to follow him. So, "Come, for everything is now ready." But they all alike began to make excuses. And the first said, "I've bought a field and I must go out and see to it." I'd happily be in the kingdom of God. I just am too busy. I've got business going on. I've made purchases and acquisitions, and I just don't have time to really focus on that right now. And another said, "I've bought 5 yoke of oxen and I go to examine them. Please have me excused." Again, I'm just so busy with the things of this world. I'm so busy trying to figure out how to make life happen here. I just don't have much time to think about the new heavens and the new earth. I don't have much time to think about what it means to be in the kingdom of God now. Rather, I'm just trying to knock it out of the park in the kingdom of man. And another said, "I have married a wife and therefore I cannot come. I'm a family guy. We're spending so much time, trying to be a good husband, a good dad. I'm not sure I have time for the kingdom of heaven." The master of the house became angry and said to his servants, "Go out quickly to the streets and lanes of the city and bring in the poor and cripple and the blind and lame." And the servant said, "Sir, what you commanded has been done and there's still room." And the master said to the servant, "Go out to the highways and the hedges and compel people to come in, that my house may be filled. For I tell you, none of those men who are invited shall taste my banquet." This guy said to Jesus, "Blessed are anyone who eats bread in the kingdom of heaven, in the kingdom of God. And then Jesus tells a story and says, yeah, but who do you think's gonna be there? You think it's gonna be the most impressive? You think it's going to be the Mutual Admiration Society? No, rather, there are going to be many people who miss the kingdom of God because they are so concerned with the things of this world. And we might look around and go, oh, I bet it's that person and that person and that person who totally have their act together and are buying and selling oxen and are buying and selling fields and are married and raising a family and just really looks like they have their act together. But Jesus says some of these people are so busy with this stuff that they don't have time to simply follow me. And then he says, you're going to be shocked that it's going to be people that come in from all over the place who are in the hedges, sleeping under a hedge, and the highways, like just that got beaten up and are left for dead out in the side of the highway. I'm going to compel them to come in. Why? Because I want my house full. You know, certainly Jesus is saying, Israel, you think just because you're Israelites that you automatically have a place in the kingdom. But the truth is, being an Israelite is not how to get into the kingdom of God, but rather accepting the invitation from the guy throwing the party. Man, would you not rely on your religion? Would you not rely on the things you know about God? Would you not rely on yourself and your ability to earn your way into the best parties and into Christian circles and to be the most impressive person at the Sunday school class? But rather, would you simply and humbly accept the invitation of Jesus? And no, it's going to mean that you're going to have to reject some of these other things. There's going to have to be times when you focus on Christ instead of on the field you just bought or the oxen you just bought or the wife you just married. But rather, Jesus is going to have to be the most important thing. Hey, you're invited. Say yes. All right. Be loved, Lighthouse.